Maama wange Yata Kitange afune ebyobugagga. James Garuga eyali ennyini Garuga Resort yalina ebyobugagga bingi nnyo nnyini ddala era bibamu ku basajja abaateekawo embeera Uganda eno mu lutalo olwaleeta gavumenti eno mu buyinza. Omwami oyo James Garuga mutabani we yoyo agenda kwogera ebigambo bye alumiriza nnyina okulemesa maama we okulemesa kitaawe okujjanjabwa. Alumiza maama we amuzaalira ddala nti yalemesa taata waabwe agende ajjanjabwe olunno n'afa mu August w'omwaka ogwedde nga ono maama we mbu kye yakola yakwata ne visa eyali ewedde nga taata alina kuba nga alinnya bulinnya genda bweru bamujjanjabe. Maama n'agibuzaawo asobola kuba nti yeddiza ebyobugagga during mu process eyo nga taata alina kasero bamujjanjaba. Ono agamba nti baakola transfer z'ebyapa acres eziwerako ddala 2,000 byonna nga maama we yabikola n'omu ku baganda be. Naye mboze no njagala ojuule njagala ofunemu ekyokuyiga. Ono mutabani w'omugenzi eyali omugagga Garuga eyafa omwaka ogwedde wabula ng'ate agamba nti yamutta yali nnyina amuzaalira ddala mbozi yennaku naye giwa obulamu.
Good evening everyone. Yeah, so my name is Alwin Garuga. The purpose of this video is to put straight what Peace Kesime Bagorogoza was saying in church today. I'll give you the factual record, undisputed, so you can make up your own mind about exactly what's going on and what is right or wrong. Yeah, I'm the son of the late Dr. Musinguzi James Garuga. On 28th of February 2025, I went home and picked my dad from his house in Buya, and we went to Nakasero Hospital because he had a hip problem. We arrived at Nakasero Hospital at about 11 a.m. in the morning, and they ran a full scan on him because he had a hip problem, which was diagnosed to require replacement. But they also gave him bad news that he requires a hip replacement surgery, of course, and that he has diabetes, which diabetes was undiagnosed before. Upon learning of this news, we got him a placement at Johns Hopkins Hospital in the US and started the process of evacuating him. My own biological mother, Peace Kesime Bagorogoza, was totally against this for one reason or the other. And it was not for lack of financial means, because my dad was a man of means. She insisted that she wanted a one Nadumba to operate my dad. Today she was in church at a memorial claiming government hasn't done anything about hospitals, you can't get any healthcare in Uganda. So the question is, why would she be hell-bent on Nadumba operating my dad when she clearly, according to her, knows that Uganda has no healthcare system? So, let me just give you a few facts and figures about diabetes. It is standard procedure worldwide that you cannot operate a diabetes patient without stabilizing their HbA1c level. HbA1c is the blood hemoglobin level, which is a measurement of the diabetes count. The normal of everybody is about between 6 to 7. My dad's was around 16, 17. And it's standard operational procedure that you need to stabilize that for about minimum 3 months. World over. We have a family friend called Dunganwa Henry who had a similar challenge or problem, diabetes and hip problem. He went to India. The Indian doctors, him having paid his full medical bills, sent him back to Uganda to first stabilize it for 6 months. Actually, that's how I knew about that whole requirement. But her being a medical doctor and her being the next of kin of my dad, she bulldozed and said, no, your father must go. So my father, of course, in that state, had no option. And actually, it was not even planned. They concealed it from me. I sent her emails. I sent her WhatsApp messages to no avail. Immediately, my father came from that operation. He was diagnosed with cancer over the destruction of his immunity by that botched premature surgery. So he sent his documents to his UK doctors and they invited him to UK for urgent medical treatment. And they diagnosed that this cancer was not the previous cancer he had suffered. He suffered cancer and got healed from it in about 2016. Totally cleared from any cancer. And the doctors in their report, which I can share it with you if you want, said, look, this is not the old cancer. This cancer has been caused by a failure of his immunity. And please come to UK. So my mother, Peace Bagorogoza, insists on her and a brother of mine called Philip applying for the UK visa. And the visa, for the first time in my dad's life, in his 70 years, and he is very well traveled, comes back rejected. But thank God, the UK Home Office has a procedure of explaining why you're rejected. So I have the report. I can share it. It clearly said whoever applied, who was Philip and my mother, put that he's a farmer. My dad, by the way, was a trained lawyer, trained accountant, and an industrialist with multiple companies. They put that he's a farmer. That's why the visa was rejected. There was no explanation for the amounts of money on his bank account. So we put in a reapplication, my father with me, and it was granted 5 days after application. The day after my father got his visa, UK medical visa. By the way, he had 2 hospitals waiting for him. In UK, there was the Royal Marsden and Cromwell Hospital. And there was a company called Medical Air Service waiting to evacuate him immediately. To UK, he would have been in UK in 10 hours. The moment he got his visa, immediately, they diagnosed him as having food permeating his lungs. By this time, by the way, he was at home being fed by who? Guess who? My mother, Bagorogoza Peace Kesime. So, I tried to evacuate him. I reached the extent of even filing a human rights suit to have him forcefully evacuated. You know what they did? They got his passport with a UK medical visa, valid UK medical visa, with the Medical Air Service jet waiting to evacuate him, with Cromwell Hospital and Royal Marsden waiting for him, and dumped it at the Turkish visa handling office with 5 other applications. The implication of multiple applications, of course, is that it's going to take longer. So this is someone who needed emergency medical evacuation. And you know a Turkish visa is going to take you 1 month to process. And you get your husband's passport with a UK medical visa in it, and give it to your son Philip to go and dump at the Turkish visa handling office. In a nutshell, preventing your husband from any chance of evacuation or survival. So, once that happened, unfortunately for them, my dad started, he went into ICU, but then started recovering. Peace Kesime Bagorogoza ordered an open chest surgery on my father on 5th of August 2025. That's what killed him. The lead doctor of Nakasero Hospital, he's called Dr. Luzige, okay, was against the operation, but she as next of kin and medical doctor insisted. They operated him on 5th in the evening. He was dead the same day. They murdered him. It was murder. Causing death, murder, without a shadow of a doubt. And guess what? Do you know that on 16th of July, as my dad was in ICU, they transferred 2,000 acres of his land in Ngoma Nakaseke. My mother, Agaba Maguru, and the rest of that lot. 2,000 acres. No board resolution because it was company land. Fraudulent to the core. Fraudulently transferred to one of their own, one Charles Biarahanga. Then to add insult to injury, that was not enough for them. They went and tried to make Maguru a director in my father's companies. Of course, as you know, the registrar of companies has since removed Agaba Maguru as a director for being fraudulently appointing himself a director. So in a nutshell, they murdered my dad so they could seize all his companies and all his wealth. That was the intention. No other intention but that. You know, under the law, even my grandmother was supposed to be party to his estate and to benefit. They left my own grandmother out. She's now 90 years. Out of his estate. In my mother's birth application. I don't even want to go into the application. Fraudulent to the core. Huh? Under the law, you're supposed to have a family meeting. There was no family meeting. She underdeclared my dad's estate. Left out 3 of his companies. Kanungu Broadcasting Services. Chamunga Tea Company Limited. Kayonza Growers Tea Factory Limited. Where he has a substantial shareholding. She left out all his properties. All of them. Even in his personal names. So, these people did a hit job on my dad so that they could loot his estate. And now I hear she was in church today. A service she arranged, so-called memorial, whimpering away and trying to be a victim. My mother is no victim. She's a murderer. She's my own biological mother. I know her better than all of you. And I can assure you, look into the facts. I have the facts. This woman murdered my father, and I cannot let that go. That was the end of our relationship. I cannot deal with a murderer. Thank you. In continuation on our response to what Peace Kesime Bagorogoza was saying today in church, about how I teamed up with Ruchikire. Ruchikire has always fought my dad. I want to give you a brief history. Matthew Ruchikire, Honorable, was always a family friend from whenever we were very young children. Actually, my dad, my late dad, the murdered Garuga, Singuzi James, and Honorable Ruchikire Matthew met and worked together at Shell, Uganda. My dad was an accountant there, and Ruchikire also worked there. And from those days at Shell, they were very close, and they became business partners. To date, Honorable Ruchikire is a shareholder in Garuga Properties Limited. This company was incorporated in 1980, before I was born. To date, Ruchikire is a shareholder. Ruchikire, as you know, was the host of the NRA guerrillas who planned their first attack on Kawamba at his house in Makindi. He still lives in that house. And my dad was a member of NRM, by the way. Number 4. And he was Commander NRA Kampala. So I think you can add 2 and 2 together and understand these were brothers in a struggle. Okay? There are so many similarities between Ruchikiri and my dad. Just even associating with them, I can tell the similarities in character, in principle. There are a few differences, but pretty much very similar. Honorable Ruchikiri is a good man. And actually what he faced by the cabal within my dad's own organization, involving Peace Bagorogoza, that Agawa Maguru you hear about. Every time they want to execute their fraudulent schemes, they will try and alienate those they believe they will face resistance from. I faced the same thing. You had my mother today talk about how I took my father to court. I did not take my father to court. I supplied my tea seedlings under my company in 2014, and I was expecting 850 million shillings to be paid to me. They paid me 27 million, then 50 million after some botched negotiations, even an MOU. All this orchestrated by that same cabal, Maguru, Peace, Kesime, Bagorogoza, and the like. So when she says I took my father to court, I took the company I supplied my tea that didn't pay me to court. My tea seedlings. Let me give you something to think about. I also went to court as amicus curiae when there was a consent judgment between NADS and my dad's company, Chigeza Island Limited, so that money, 142 billion, can be paid to farmers' individual accounts. Under the consent judgment, that same cabal, Peace, Maguru, some lawyer called Katavas Patrick, put a personal account of the lawyer, Choncho Patrick Katavas, and Biarahanga Frank. When the money was paid, they ate the money. My own dad was defrauded 11 billion with a B by these guys. So, I mean, when she's saying, oh, you took your father come to court, I took a company I supplied my tea to court. I was expecting 850 million. They didn't pay me. They paid me 97 million. So, they wanted me to do what? Exactly. To act outside the law? No, me, I always follow the law. I'm not like them. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a murderer causing people's death so I can loot their estate, denying them medical evacuation. That's not me. So, Honorable Ruchikiri is a decent man, irrespective of whatever political affiliation you have. You respect an old gentleman who is a fair man. I've dealt with him. He's a fair man. I have no problem with him. Okay, great.